What's up, traders? Going 6 for 6 today. We had a nice one on JAGX. It got a little hairy for a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and jump right into this. Our first trade was actually on AMC. We actually took 2 trades on AMC, so we'll go over both of them real quick. As you can see, if we scroll out, we had previous resistance down here at 30.70 from the high of yesterday. And this was our first trade, just a nice little push up through 31. Through that previous resistance, we got all the way up to 31.40. Went a little bit smaller size because it is AMC, and then just took half of that move back down towards previous resistance. It did go a little further through 31 after we got out, but it did try to bounce up and all that good stuff, but not a big deal. It does end up going back up, and now we have a new previous resistance, which is also now up here through the whole dollar of 32. Nice extension from 31.50. Got short, was looking, I think I had to order out lower. But it didn't want to fill me. And then so I brought it up, took it closer to 32. And then sure enough, I mean, I want to say it was like 10 seconds after, this thing just flushed, just absolutely flushed. I was not expecting AMC to do that, but it did. And so that was that. AEHR was our second trade. AMC was actually our third trade. This was a nice one too. Previous resistance all the way down here at 16. There was some right here in the pre-market as well. As you can see, it tried to use that intraday right here at $17. Got a nice pop on volume up through that area, all the way up through 18. Jiggled up there around 1837. We actually put an order if you go watch this one live. As always, you can watch these live. It'll be in the pinned comment down below. I put an order out at like 1833, and we weren't getting filled. So I actually dragged it down and chased it, and we got filled at, I think, 09. Yeah, 1809. And sure enough, it never came back up to 33, and it kept on flushing. So it was a trade that we chased and got rewarded for it. Got this one all the way down here at, what was the fill? 1767. So nice little trade there. AVCT actually was our third trade, I guess. Right? Yeah. Yep. AMC actually was the second trade on AMC was the fourth trade. AVCT, this one I was a little bit sketched with. We actually ended up taking 200 shares of this, but we were low on shares. I want to say we had like 40 or 50,000 shares, and it was on SSR. But it was a really nice move. So we ended up just kind of waiting for the jiggle. Had to short the ask, got filled, and the rest is history. We just took the short little move back down, got filled at 174. The high at that point was 177. And we took, I think we had the order at 168, but it wasn't filling us. So when it got to 170, we just dragged it up and took it. So nothing too crazy there. Showed you the second one on JAGX, or not JAGX, AMC. I'm going to show you the one that we just took on Tesla before I show you the JAGX trade. This was just a huge move from Tesla off the bottom. It looked like this thing was just getting slaughtered. Assuming the SPY doing what it's doing had a pretty big impact on what this is doing. Got all the way up to the highs from yesterday as well as the highs from intraday today, and just made a move, made a nice little extension up away from that resistance. And that was what we were looking for. We were just kind of waiting for it to stop, and kind of read that, got short, and covered down into the wash, and it hung out up in this area. We actually topped and bottomed this for a little while. It was like an extra 5 minutes, and then finally it started to go back down. So sorry, I totally forgot I had him on. Let me turn him off real quick. And as you can see, it's actually moving back up now. So JAGX was the big one today. This one got a little hairy. Scroll out, you can see previous resistance all the way down here at 115. Was popping on the scanner actually down here, 125, 130s area. And this is actually where Brian and David ended up starting it. I was a little bit more patient with it because I didn't really think that was a big move for JAGX. We've played JAGX in the past. We know this thing can make a run. And so we were a little bit more patient with it. When we did our double click, I believe it showed us like 400 or 500 shares, and we actually downed it to 300 because, again, I didn't like that it wasn't just a big para move. I mean, like, even when you look at Tesla's move, you can see, like, look at this nice candle versus all the other candles. When we look at JAGX, we didn't really get that because we don't have anything to kind of base it off of. And then these 3 candles were all kind of the same. So I was being pretty cautious with it, but it did seem toppy. We hadn't had any kind of a pullback, and it felt like it just wanted to flush. Like this whole way up, it really felt like it wanted to flush, but it just never did. Buyers kept stepping in. And at this 150 area, we did 300, 300. And I had the intention of, if it had a big pop up through 150, that we were going to hit it for 300 and 300 again. But I wanted to get at least 300 to get my average up a little bit. for the imminent flush that I thought was coming to 140, if it failed to give us that pop through 150. And we got that ad, and I was looking for more to get the other 300, but it just didn't happen. So it started to kind of grind right here at 150, and then all of a sudden it popped. It finally gave us like a pretty good pop, and it went up to 165. And this is where we had 900, and was going to add again. I had 300 loaded, but I was like, all right, we got a decent move to get my average up. I'm going to have to take a little bit more shares. So I ended up loading 500 instead of 300. So when we took that ended up putting us at 1400. And then it kind of kept going. And when it got up to 170, I said, all right, this feels good, because it was an actual like decent little push where the ask was only getting hit. No one was really trying to sell. It wasn't kind of grinding its way up like it was down here. So I added another 600. So essentially 1100 up at the top versus the 900 down here. So it brought our average up to about like 156, I think. I don't remember exactly what it was. But now we have 2,000 shares. And at the same time, someone had mentioned in the ISW live room that we were running out of shares. So I looked over, we had 50,000 left. We started with like 400,000 or 500,000 when the trade started. So, and as I'm sitting here watching this thing kind of jiggle up here at 170, I noticed they were just going. It was like 40,000, 30,000, 20,000. And I realized that this might be my last chance to get my average up. And so I added another 1,000, giving us a total of 3,000 shares, bringing our average to 160 and some change. So it was like $1.60.3 something. And yeah, I did the math a little bit later, David did the math for me. If this would have went to 182 after that last ad, I would have hit my max loss. But at the current high, I never actually got to even half of my max loss. So it just goes to show you how heavy I was up here at the top. I essentially added 2,100 shares in the span of 6 cents, which means that it was only going to take another 8 cents for me to go the other half of my max loss to get there. So it got a little hairy, but thankfully we did get a little bit more out of it, because our average again was at 160. And we barely got down through it. And we put an order out for 2,500 shares of the, you can't see it because it's all the way down at the bottom there. But I can show you. Let me pop this out. We put 2,500 shares at right there at 158. Our average was 160, and we got those filled. And then we tried to scale out. I figured we still had 500. I tried to take 250. Which then brought us down to 250. Then I took 150. And as you can see, they're all right below average. Average was 160, 158, 159, 158.8, 159.5. Like we couldn't get that drop. And then we actually ended up taking these last 100 for a small loss. So that's just kind of part of it. Thankfully, we got our average up to where we did. And we took that risk, because if we didn't, it never dropped below there. So, and we were recognizing that it didn't want to. So thankfully, we did get a little bit aggressive when we noticed the shares were running out, because if not, this would have barely been a break-even trade, if that, or it would have ended up being a loser. But in turn, it ended up being a pretty decent winner because of the size we had, as well as the order that we put out there for the majority of it. Because after that, you can see it went up and broke that plane. So if for some reason, I was waiting to try to be green and I was being greedy with it, it would have stopped us out for a max loss. So pretty interesting trade there. And again, I have it live. It's it's going to be the first pinned comment. You can go and check out all of my live trades that I make while I'm on stream. And yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I always appreciate that support. If you do have any questions or comments, leave them down below. You can find me in the Discord, find me on Twitter, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.